Love Return in Rain. The evening was perfect one of those rare moments when nature seemed to slow down, allowing me to truly appreciate its beauty. The golden hues of the setting sun melted into the calm waves, casting a dreamy reflection on the shore. The salty sea breeze tinged with a faint scent of wet sand wrapped around me like an old friend. The rhythmic sound of waves crashing against the shore provided a soothing background, occasionally interrupted by the delighted squeals of children playing nearby. Yet, amid this picture's moment, my focus was entirely on Flippo, my energetic 8 months old Labrador, who seemed to have boundless enthusiasm for life. She was tugging at her leash, her glossy caramel colored fur glistening under the dimming sunlight. Every fiber of her being screamed excitement, urging me to break into a run and join her in her joyous pursuit of nothing in particular. Flippo, stop pulling, I scolded, my voice carrying a mix of amusement and expectations. But my words meant nothing to her. She looked up at me with those big, innocent eyes, her tail wagging furiously, before making another attempt to yank me forward. Just then, my headset paused the soft music that had been accompanying my walk. A mechanical voice interrupted the serenity, announcing call from Jerry. I already knowing it was my friend, but my mom, who often borrowed his phone when hers was out of reach. With a resigned chuckle, I answered, "Hello, mom." She said, "Bring some milk for Flippo on your way back." And it was an instruction. I repeated the request absent mindedly. Milk for Flippo? The question was theoretical, but before I could respond, Flippo jumped on me, leaving muddy paw prints all over my black tracks. Great. I muted, looking down at the fresh stains. After hanging up, I ruffled Flippo's ears affectionately, her tail wagging in excitement. She had no idea she had just made a mess. I sat down on a low platform by the shore, inhaling deeply, letting the crisp, rain-scented air fill my lungs. Dark clouds loomed in the distance and a soft drizzle began to fall, casting an ethereal glow over the landscape. It was in that moment, the drizzle and the distant hum of waves, that I noticed her. A petite figure stood a few feet away, drenched from head to toe. She was just any girl. There was something about her, something captivating. Her rain-soaked hair clung to her face, framing her delicate features in a way that made my heart stutter. Her cheeks flushed pink from the cold, only added to the undeniable charm she carried. She was saying something, her lips moving, but I couldn't hear her. Not really, because in my ears, Ed Sheeran's Perfect was still playing, and that moment it felt like song had been written just for this very scene. "Hello," she called out again, snapping her fingers in front of my face. I'm embarrassed, realizing I had been staring. I quickly stepped aside as she walked towards a scooter that had been knocked over by the wind. As she bent down to lift it, the streetlights flickered, casting a warm glow on her rain slick skin. She was breathtaking. Just then, I felt a sudden lightness in my hand. The leash, Flippo's leash, was gone. My heart stopped. I turned in frantic circles, searching the shore for any sign of her. Flippo, Flippo, I called out, panic surging through me. The girl noticed my distress and without hesitation offered to help. Hop on, she said, patting the back of her scooter. There was no time to hesitate. I climbed on, barely registering the scent of rain and jasmine that surrounded her. Her wet hair brushed against my cheek as she revved the engine. And for a brief moment, I forgot all about the messing and the mess and the hand which I missed the leash of Flippo. Flippo's distant bark snapped me back to reality. I spotted her tail wagging excitedly near a small seafood stall. Without thinking, I jumped off the moving scooter and ran to her, scooping her up into my arms. The relief flooded me as I turned back to thank the girl, but she was gone. Yeah, she was gone. A strange emptiness settled over me. I had lost Flippo for a few minutes, but in return, I felt like I had lost something far more precious. And I didn't even know her name. The next day, as I searched for her on the beach, I couldn't have known that yesterday wasn't just our first meeting, it was the last day. The walls of the modest home were thick with silence, a heavy, suffocating silence that seemed to swallow everything whole. The soft ticking of the clock was the only sound filling the room, a cruel reminder of time slipping away. Dr. Daniel adjusted his glass as he studied the boy lying motionless on the bed. Sachu, 17 years old, a boy who should have been laughing with friends, making memories, falling in love. Instead, he lay there, his eyes open but seeing nothing. His mother sat beside me, her fingers gripping the edge of her sari, as if holding on to it could keep her from falling apart. His father stood by the window, shoulders hunched, staring outside but not really looking. How long has he been like this? Dr. Daniel asked, his voice gentle yet firm. 2 months, his mother whispered, her voice raw with exhaustion. Ever since the accident, he's been different. He barely eats, barely speaks, he just stares ahead, lost in some world we can't reach. The doctor, he had seen cases like this before. It never got easier. A mind trapped in an illusion, clinging into something that no longer existed. Sachu, Dr. Daniel called softly. The boy didn't react. His gaze remained fixed on the ceiling, unblinking. The doctor leaned closer. Sachu, can you hear me? A flicker, barely noticeable. but it was there. Dr. Daniel turned to the parents. He's not completely gone. He's living in a world of his own making. If we don't intervene soon, he may never return to reality. His mother covered her mouth, suppressing a sob. His father exhaled heavily, rubbing a tired hand over his face. The doctor hesitated before asking the next question. What exactly happened that night? A pause, a long, aching pause, and then slowly the father began to speak. It had been a beautiful evening, the kind that made you want to breathe a little deeper, walk a little slower. The sea breeze was cool, carrying the scent of salt and rain. Sachu had been at the beach with Flippo, his beloved Labrador. The dog had been restless, yanking at the leash, eager to chase the scent of something unseen. And then it happened. A sudden burst of wind, a distracted moment, the leash slipping from his grasp. Flippo had bolted. Sachu had called her name, his voice mixing with the sound of crashing waves. He had run, his feet pounding against the wet sand. And then a loud screech, the sharp impact of metal against flesh. A motorcycle moving too fast, a flash of pain, darkness swallowing everything. Dr. Daniel exhaled, nodding slowly. And the girl, the parents exchanged a glance. Sindhu? His mother finally said she was there when it happened. She brought him to the hospital. The name stirred against something in Sachu. His lips parted, barely a whisper escaping. Sindhu? The doctor caught it. A name, a thread connecting him to the world he had lost. Tell me more about her, Dr. Daniel urged. His mother shook her head. We don't know much. She left before he woke up. The doctor looked back at Sachu. His body was here, but his mind was still chasing her. As Sachu's mind lingered on Sindhu, he was about to wake up to a reality far more heartbreaking than his dreams. The world felt strange. Sachu's eyelids fluttered open, his vision adjusting to the dim light of the room. The ceiling above him was plain, off-white canvas, the same color he had stared at in his dreams. But something was different. The air was thick with the scent of antiseptic. Machines beeped softly beside him, monitoring his every breath. A dull ache pulsed through this body, anchoring him to reality. Yes, reality. His fingers twitched against the hospital sheet, his muscles weak from months of disuse. His head felt heavy, as if burdened with memories that didn't quite belong to this world. Then a voice from long was soft and trembling. Sachu, his mother. Her face appeared above him, eyes glistening with unshed tears. His father stood behind her, his usually firm posture now hunched with exhaustion. "You're awake," his mother whispered, cupping his face with both hands. "You're finally awake." He blinked slowly, his lips dry, throat parched. His mind struggled to form words to make sense of the jumbled thoughts racing through his head. And then, as if guided by instinct, his voice rasped out one name. "Flippu." His mother let out a choked laugh, wiping at her eyes. "She's safe, sweetheart, she's safe. And she's waiting for you at home." Relief flooded his chest, but as his mind continued to clear, a new name pressed against his thoughts, demanding to be spoken. "The girl?" His voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. "Where is she?" His mother stilled, his father's shocked. "Which girl, son?" Sachu's heart pounded, and he explained. The scooter ride, her rain-soaked hair, the way she had held on to him so tightly as they searched for Flippu. "I'm sure she was there," he murmured. "Yes, she was with me." His mother and father exchanged glances, confusion, concern. "Sachu," his mother said gently, brushing his hair back. "No one else was there." He shook his head. No, that wasn't possible. He had felt her presence, the warmth of her hands, the scent of jasmine lingering in the air. Yes, Sindhu was real and he had to find her. But days has passed, his body has healed, but his mind remained restless. The moment he was discharged, he found himself drawn to the beach, the place where it had all started. The sea stretched endlessly before him, its waves whispering secrets only the wind could carry. He walked along the shore, searching, and then his breath caught. A scarf, bright sky blue, draped carelessly over a wooden bench. His fingers trembled as he picked it up. The fabric was soft, familiar. His mind reeled back to that night, to the way she had tied her scarf around his bleeding wound. This was it. Yes, this was it. This was hers. Hope surged through him. He turned to a nearby vendor holding up the scarf. "Do you know who this belongs to?" The man squinted, then recognition dawned. "That belongs to Sindhu," he said. "She works at the flower shop down the road." Sachu's heart thundered. Sindhu, yes, she is real. And he started walking down the road, thinking about the memories which he could remember back. She was real. She was real. Was the only thing running in his mind. And she was just a few steps away. Excitement was high in his heart. And suddenly his heart started pounding. Sachu rushed to the flower shop, ready to reclaim the past which he barely remembered. But fate had one last twist waiting for him. The flower shop was peaceful with the smell of fresh jasmine and roses filling the air. I was busy arranging a bouquet of yellow lilies when I felt my mind drifting. I couldn't stop thinking about the night at the beach. Sachu, the boy I had helped after his accident. He had been so lost, so confused that night, and the way his eyes looked at me, it had an impression on me. I had tried to forget about it, tried to go back to my normal life, but something about him kept pulling me back. I was lost in my thoughts when I heard the bell above the door ringing. I turned around expecting to see a customer, but instead my heart skipped a beat. It was him, Sachu, who stood in the doorway, looking nervous but determined. He had a soft look in his eyes that I couldn't quite understand. He stepped forward, but before I could say anything, his dog, Flippo, ran past him, happily bounding into the shop. Sachu, I whispered. I was surprised. He smiled, though it was a little unsure. I have been looking for you, he said, his voice quiet. For months. I was stunned. You have been looking for me? He nodded, holding up the scarf I had tied around his wound that night. I kept this, he said softly. Had to find you. My heart raced. I thought you forgot. I admitted I couldn't forget, he said, his voice full of sincerity. I couldn't forget you. A part of me wanted to say something, anything, to show him that I remembered him too, but then I remembered my fiancé standing quietly behind me, holding a rose that he had handed me earlier. I felt trapped, torn between two worlds. Sachu noticed the man behind me, and his expression changed. He couldn't sense the tension, but the heaviness in the air led him to ask, is everything okay? My fiancé asked, his voice cold but polite. I nodded quickly, trying to hide the mess of emotions inside me. But Sachu didn't look away. His eyes were locked on mine, full of questions that I wasn't sure I had answers to. This is my fiancé, I said quietly, my voice almost breaking. Sachu stepped back, hurt flashing in his eyes, but he didn't say anything. I felt like everything had shifted in an instant. The world had gone from clear to unclear, from simple to complicated. Sachu asked, are you happy with him? His words hanging in the air. I didn't know how to answer. I didn't want to hurt him, but I didn't want to lie either. I don't know, I whispered, almost to myself. Sachu took a deep breath, then slowly backed away. You don't have to answer now, but I'll wait for you, always. And with that, he turned and walked out of the shop, his dog following close behind. My mind raced. What had just happened? Why did I feel like something was ending? And what was I supposed to do now? But as the door closed behind him, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the end. The truth was out there, and I had to face it. Would I stay on the path my family had chosen for me, Or would I have to the courage to choose love even if it meant defying everything I know? Sachu couldn't sleep that night. His mind was racing with everything that had happened. Seeing Sindhu again, knowing she didn't love the man she was supposed to marry, but still feeling stuck in that life, it tore at him. He couldn't just walk away, not after everything that had happened. He had to do something. The next morning, he stood outside Sindhu's home, a bouquet of yellow lilies in his hands. They were her favorite flowers, the ones she always talked about when they were together. He didn't know if she would accept them or if she even wanted to see him again, but he had to try. When she opened the door and saw him standing there, her eyes widened in surprise. Sachu, what are you doing there? She asked, her voice soft but filled with confusions. He held out the flowers, offering them with a smile. I'm here to remind you of something, he said gently. Love isn't about what your family wants or what's expected of you. It's about choosing what makes you happy, even if it's hard. Sindhu hesitated, her eyes flicking to the man standing behind her, her fiance. She looked torn, unsure I didn't love him. She whispered, her voice shaky. Sachu took a step closer. Then why stay with him? He asked, his voice filled with quiet hope. You deserve to be with someone who makes your heart feel alive, someone who truly cares for you. She looked away as if she didn't know how to answer. But my family? She trailed off, her voice breaking. I'll talk to them, he said quickly, without hesitation. I'll do whatever it takes to show them that I'm serious about you, that we deserve to be happy together. Tears filled her eyes as she looked up at him. She wanted to believe him. He could see it in her eyes. But she was scared of what her family would say, scared of what it would mean for her future. The door creaked open slightly as her father stepped into the room. His face was stern, his eyes cold. Sachu, I don't think you understand, he said firmly. This is not just about you and Sindhu. This is about family, about tradition. We cannot just ignore that. But Sachu didn't back down. I respect your family. But love isn't about tradition, it's about choosing each other. I want to prove to you that I can take care of Sindhu, that I'll always be there for her. Her father looked at him for a long moment and then surprisingly he softened. If Sindhu is truly happy with you, then we will not stand in your way, he said quietly. Though the disappointment was clear in his eyes, Sindhu's mother spoke up, her voice softer. If this is what you want, baby, then we can't stop you. But remember, love is more than just a feeling, it's a choice and it's a responsibility. Listening to those words, Sachu nodded, his heart swelling with hope. I understand, he said, smiling. And I promise I'll always be there for her. That evening, Sindhu and Sachu met at the beach, the place where everything had begun. The rain had started to fall, but it didn't matter. Nothing else mattered except the two of them. Are you sure about this? Sindhu asked, her voice trembling as she looked at him. I'm sure, Suchu replied, his eyes steady. I'll fight for us, for our love. As the rain soaked them both, they stood together, ready to face whatever comes next. Together. A story by Shri. So, in my perspective about the story, is that in a world that often tries to decide who we should be with, right? Sometimes the hardest and the most beautiful thing we can do is choose love even when it's uncertain. True love is always about making a choice, even when the world tells you otherwise. This is my catch and takeaway for this story for you people. I hope you liked the story Love Return in Rain. As I have written this story a very long back, I hope this may be or may not be connected. I hope I could write even more catchy stories for you. Stay tuned in Things and Thoughts, where we can see all these kind of twists and turns where you might have not even been, right? So do rate us, follow us on Spotify and also on Instagram, things dot thoughts 24, where you can give your feedbacks, criticisms, and do rate us on Spotify, where we are already available. And the people who don't have Spotify and Apple Podcast can obviously see us in YouTube too. So we are all over the place. And thank you for the love and support, for making me courageous to say a story which I have written 6 to 7 years back. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.